But after doing my research and things of that nature, I felt like it was best suited for not only me, but for my family and for my friends. And, and that's why I decided to do it. So, but as far as, I don't, you guys should know me, anything that I talk about, I don't talk about other people and what they should do. I speak for me and for my family, and, that's what it's about. I did for me and my family. I know some of my friends and what they did for their families. But as far as speaking for everybody and their individualities and things that they want to do, I don't feel like that's not my job.
What's going on there, guys? We're back with another one. Today we got to talk about Bronny James a little bit more, and we also got to talk about Rachel Nichols going to CNN, and she gave an update, and she was talking about everything surrounding this, including another USC player that went through a similar situation, exact same thing, cardiac arrest, back on July 1st last season, during preseason workouts. So, people going to have their theories there. You got people talking about the vaccine. And I think right now is just the time to pray for Bronny and really pray for his recovery. And then we can go from there. Whether he plays basketball again or not, we never know what happens with these things. It's such a vast spectrum of, what caused it, what could be the outcome, how a person recovered from it, and what they can and can't do after it. So it's going to be a process for Bronny. And we're just hoping that he can function regular and do his day-to-day tasks like he always could, away from basketball. But let's listen to what Rachel Nichols had to say, and I'll be back.
Been in the spotlight that long. I'm a reporter, and I met him when he was a baby. I mean, he has been in front of the media. He was at his father's games. We have seen him all grow up. And his name is LeBron James Jr. He goes by Bronny, but he's got his dad's full name on his birth certificate on his back when he plays basketball. And it's so interesting, Sarah. LeBron has said recently he really regrets giving LeBron James Jr. his name, that Bronny would have had an easier time if he had had a different name. But I do remember back when Bronny was born, and LeBron talked a lot to us then about how important it was to have that connection with his son. He did not have his own father in his life. And that's really been such a constant companionship, not just as Bronny has grown up, but as LeBron has grown up into the athlete that we know him to be today. And look, Bronny has been just incredibly classy with all of the attention on him, handled himself well over and over again in the spotlight, and was entering USC with so many eyes on him, so highly touted, a lot of endorsement deals, and really until yesterday, it seemed like everything was going his way.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen athletes recently recover, but this has to be terrifying for LeBron James and his wife, the whole family, really.
Yeah, I mean, any parent, if you can put yourself in that position to hear that your son's heart has stopped. He was very lucky that it happened during a practice with such an experienced training staff. I mean, this is remarkable and speaks to a little bit about the fact that this is more common than you would expect. Bronny is an incoming freshman at USC. He was practicing with the team this summer. Last summer, an incoming freshman at the time, a kid who is now rising sophomore, had the same cardiac arrest issue during a practice in July, 1 year ago today. And the training staff in that incident rushed into action, saved his life, and they did the exact same thing exactly a year later with Bronny. But it, again, speaks to the fact that this is not something that happens a lot, but it does happen. And in fact, cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death in student athletes. And you look at NCAA basketball players, male basketball players only make up 4% of the NCAA student athlete population, but they make up 20% of these cardiac arrest issues. So it's definitely something that college training staffs are prepared for. And as LeBron and Savannah said in their statement, everybody involved is just so fortunate that the training staff there was able to leap into action and take care of Bronny the way that they did.
I do want to ask you about LeBron James. I know that, he really at one point wants to be able to play alongside his son. He's made that pretty clear. Yeah. Some people sort of speculated that maybe he's staying in the game, hoping for that moment. Do you think that's all at risk at this point?
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know what the future holds for Bronny. And LeBron talked to me maybe 5 years ago when the kid wasn't even playing high school basketball about this idea of playing with his son. This has been a hope and dream of his. There is no question that he's extending his NBA career. He's kind of lined up his contracts in a way that, yes, he's still under contract with the Lakers when Bronny potentially joins the NBA, but it's his option. So if he wants to go somewhere else where Bronny goes, he can do that too. This has been the plan, and we will just have to see if Bronny's health will permit this. Sanjay was talking a little bit earlier about the different ways cardiac arrests happen with Damar Hamlin, who you mentioned. That was blunt force trauma, right? We all saw it. I mean, that was what was so jarring. We saw him take a shot right to the chest and it stopped his heart. More commonly, what happens is that there's something about the athlete's heart that in that moment of stress, of stopping and starting and everything that goes on, that causes this condition. So as Sanjay mentioned, the expectation is that he will go through testing over this next week, see if they can identify the problem that led to this, and if it is solvable or fixable. We expect him to get right back on the court, the way Damar Hamlin has been able to enter training camp just this week with the Bulls, and hopefully continue that bright future that is ahead of him. If not, obviously, it would be a crushing disappointment if he can't play basketball again. But I will say this about Bronny James, and I saw him just a few months ago after he committed to USC, and we were talking about his college experience. This is such a well-rounded kid. This is not someone where basketball is the only thing in his life. So I think the main thing is that he's okay, which it seems like he is. The second thing is the hope that he can continue his dream and play alongside his dad in the NBA and all of that. But I will tell you, just from knowing him, he will be okay either way. It's just hopefully he can do what he loves still.
You know, and this thing has brought in some of the wildest takes. I mean, you've heard people say different things like Bronny, he'd been drinking energy drinks. He took the vax. LeBron put too much pressure on him. Like, some people are saying that caused him to go into cardiac arrest, man. And I think right now, if you don't have the facts, it's pretty insensitive to have these think pieces that way without knowing exactly what went on. You have to think LeBron has been getting him the best physicals money can buy, for sure. So if there was any pre-existing condition known at the time or something that they could detect at the time, because there's always developments, but current day, they would have found it in Bronny. There's no way. And you got to think, LeBron, he saw what happened to his homeboy Chris Bosh, So an athlete with that experience is definitely going to check and make sure his kids are okay. You got to think Bryce is getting all of the best physicals as well. And, he's put it like this, Bron ain't going to put Bronny in no danger. So people saying that, I think that's a little off base. You can not like LeBron. You could say he loves attention, he craves attention. He's doing this, he's doing that. But you can't say he don't love his kids. I don't feel like that's a valid statement that could be made based off the evidence we see. And if you ever go out, to these AAU tournaments or anything, you'll just see LeBron over there with the kids. Even when they were younger and he wasn't actually coaching the team, him and Savannah would sit there and watch. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. But I think as far as him playing with his son, as far as that being like a goal for him, right? You could get like a reset in your mind when something like this happened. Like, now, LeBron's only thing is he just want to see his son healthy. Like, Bump playing with him. That'll come if that comes, but that's not even one of the main things going forward. So your goals, it can put things back in perspective, in their proper perspective. And I ain't saying LeBron didn't have a proper perspective. I'm just saying, like, you could really think about some things differently really quickly when life and death is a thing that's brought to the forefront based off of a circumstance. And I feel like, now you have to think, they're concerned with Bryce. Bryce is going to get all the tests there are that you can have now, obviously, as if he wasn't already. But he definitely going to get more now based off what happened to Bronny, man. And, I'm hoping that he gets to do what he loves, because that could be a mental prison too, right? Like, you've been a basketball player all your life. You worked this hard to get to USC. And I can honestly say, Bronny is a player, good enough to play at USC. He might not have been the best player in the country. There's been some debate whether he should have been in McDonald's All-American game or not. But one thing you can say is, Bronny's a decent, at least 4-star, 3-star type player, at the very least. I'm saying at the very least when I say that, he's turned into a pretty good player that's worthy of being a high major point guard. I don't think anybody can argue that. So he kind of earned his way, and he put in the work to get there. Yeah, he's LeBron's son, but he's good enough to play at that level, man. So I'm hoping that he's able to do that. That could be a little mental prison when you don't put in all that work and then it's just taken away from you. Because at that age, you got to remember, when you're a kid like that, that could feel like the end of the world for you. Like, and you got a lot of money, and I ain't saying his is like other kids from the hood or whatever that don't have no backup plan. But I'm saying, like, in a kid's mind, if you take basketball, football, any of that stuff away, track and field, whatever it may be, you think about all the work you put in, and you really do it because you love it at that age. Because up until that point, you've done it, and the politics are less than they are as you go up in levels, right? So you've kind of just always did it because you love to do it. So I hope he can do his thing safely going forward, man. But I just wanted to share that with y'all. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time. Peace.